This DAS platform, the DAS platform forever gets me with having to restart it. It's just so stupid. Anyhow, RB and E has moved up. How low did we go? It did start before 6:55, so I'm, not super early to the show. I think I'll probably wait for the next breakout and then see how it does from there. Being that we've pulled back to this level a couple of times already. It did hold, which is good. So like right here, can we see that new high, which would be over 70? A bit of a topping wick. Time. 2 minutes left in our 5-minute candle. What I don't know is how the dip played out. I mean, it's showing, 80s, but I had to restart the platform, so I didn't get to keep an eye. Alright, I'm gonna size down and ease off. Wait, kind of got lucky there because my fills, the stock came back up. I got filled. If the order's slow to come out, which it takes that second to process, and it is still going. Holy smokes! Holy shit! Still going. Oh my god! I should have kept with the size then. Bro, I'm telling you, if the stocks move like this during the open, bro, I'd be up 10,000 already. We're not seeing none of this. Look at this move. What it is, I gotta put the size though. I did put a new hotkey for 2,000 shares, but I think it might be too late for that. 1230 for the high. I think once we get to backside, which this might be backside, could be backside. Let's see if it depends on how it holds up the dip. And I think this could be backside. It's fighting here. It's fighting, but could be backside. And that was even better than I would have thought, man. Gotta put out the size, take the risk. The low right there was about 1090 or so. Watching with small size. It held up. And small size though, back to small size. Okay, it's making you low. Hands off, waiting. Could be finished. I mean, if a guy like Ross is using, light speed with the fast fills, 10,000 shares, bro, you're gonna be up like 50,000 pretty quick in a stock like this. So it's definitely, you can see why it's possible, right? TMDE. This is where I don't want to touch the stock at all. Right here. TMDE on the other hand. This one is climbing. We had 118, we're now at 145, 170 hive day. Oh my gosh, wow. Trying to dip. Hold up, waiting. Trying to dip again. Long 64, tight stop. Cutting it. I underestimated it. I could have jumped in for break of 50, but and that ripped right up to 206. TMDE. The first pullback, not super aggressive to bounce, but it is curling up right here. I'm not gonna use size on this one yet. I need to get a better gauge on it. Gotta get to putting more size on the hotter stocks is the only way to make money. If not, we'll be in the depths. Must conquer size in pre-market, but only on good opportunities. So TMDE right here, is it worth it? Watching. I'm curious of the 5-minute candlestick, which I can't see because I'm on the 1-minute chart up here. Mm, 45, it might be backside on that one. It's coming down here. TMDE. But man, that move on RBNE. Lows were 42. So that was a VWAP bounce. I gotta set another alarm to record my screen. I keep forgetting. I don't know, this one seems a little bit more tough. Our pullback haven't really held up well to continue. We've had a much bigger dip, but it's still alive. I think small size is the key here for now. But I need to be in that stock. I need to be in like to be up a couple, like for me to be up like a good 3, 4, 5,000. I gotta be in like 2,500 shares minimum for all those trades, and then it'll add up very quickly. My hotkey is pretty good for getting out, so it's whatever position I have, the entirety of the position. So even if I get partial fills going in, all I'll have to do is cancel and then just sell where I need to sell. RBNE back up a little bit, 1050. Let's pull this one back up. I want to be pretty slow to size up on anything because we don't want to get caught in the backside. ICON. 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 It's hard to tell if we're holding here. I'm gonna take a baby starter. I got 98 fill, which is kind of high, but okay. I can add over the highs if it holds. Okay, it's coming down. $20 loss. That was a good size loss too, that small size. The first dip, lows of 54. Some stuff I'll trade on the other screen here, just, to save myself the time of trying to pull it up here. Bro, I'm telling you guys, man, like, you will keep working towards it in pre-market, but the days the stocks start to move like that in the open again, because I'm gonna now the size I'll be using now compared to like last year and the year before, my size is gonna be insane. It's gonna be like twice, three times the size. So those same days that were like 5, 10K days, we're gonna blow those days away. But we just have to see the opportunities there. So during pre-market, I think, again, when there's a stock that's strong after that second trade, gotta go for HSDT and now RBNE. So far, those are the two strongest ones I've seen. I haven't really done well with penny stocks. Uh, you know, they've been strong too, but haven't really done well with those here in pre-market. ICON is back up. RBNE is sideways. ICON. I'm just losing on ICON small size. RBEN back over 11 could be interesting. If the 5-minute candle makes a new high. Back over 1060, back over 11. Don't forget, if you're tuning in on YouTube, to hit that thumbs up. Yeah, I think unless this one breaks and hold over 11, I'll just take it easy. ICON just seems a little bit more tricky. actually skipped breakfast today, which was not a great idea. Dang, my last trade was at 10:46. That's crazy. This thing went to 12:30. So again, if it gets over 1060 is where I'd be interested in again. But my first few trades would be small size. Unless it really starts to, hold up well. ICON moving up. ICON perhaps over highs. But we also got RBNE moving up a little bit here. Okay, ICON has made a new high. Dang, I got that trade, but with small size. We gotta hold up. Come on. It's fighting. If it goes, I'll add. Back out. And it looks like it might be coming down. Is it worth one more attempt? Try one more time. 24 entry. And it is... What am I out? 20? Not bad stop, but yeah. No bounce. No bounce on this dip. ICON. I call it the big move up, but with small size. Those trades are always tough. Always tough. In at 29? No. In at, hold up. What was the century? That's not right. Okay, 34 to 63. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad. But small size. Mighty, bro. The Mighty would have been up. The Mighty would have been up 5K here. With the Mighty size. The Mighty would have been up 5K already, brother. Mighty, I gotta use more size, bro. I'm trading the pre-market like a little girl. Pastor here moving too soft and needs to start moving like a G. Uh ICON pulling back, no bounce on that one. Someone was saying to take a couple shots on an empty stomach. That would be a tough one. To find your true self as a trader. TORO. To find your true self. Sounds like max risk. By the way, if you're tuning in on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Right now, we're watching ticker symbol RBNE as well as ticker symbol TMDE and keeping an eye on the scans for something else in the meantime. We got RBNE breaking down here a bit. The key is to use massive size on the stocks that are strong and stick to smaller starter size on the stocks that you're attempting to see if they're strong. If they turn out to be weak, then you don't lose too much. But on the ones that keep going, you'll have that good imbalance. You'll be overwhelmingly green considering that the stock was giving all the moves you would expect. But if you use small size in a strong stock, then you're kind of not really getting that pull away in your P&L like you're supposed to. So, noted. And the third time will be the charm. My biggest hotkey though, only 2,000 shares. I can add more. Maybe I'll add another one here quickly. Maybe I can add like a 5,000 hotkey for stocks that are maybe at like 120, 110. There'll be a little bit more risk, but again, if it's strong and it's really working well, and I think it'll be good too to at least see how fills are with size on this platform. Because if we run into partial fills every time we're trying to exit, every time, then maybe there's other things to consider, right? I'm a little late to jump in. I wanted to be in there before 50, so I'll kind of take a small loss there. Again, using the starter size unless it really just pulls away. If it pulls away and holds, I'll start using bigger size. 42. Watching. Damn. It's quick. That dip was too quick for me to get in. But it needs to hold up. It's pulling back too much. We're kind of giving back the move. Well, we made like 1,200 there now, one trade, which is 2,000 shares, right? So once the Mighty gets out of bed, the Mighty will be using 10,000 size in that same trade because he's a madman. And the Mighty will be up 10,000 in one trade. 5K. I don't like that we've pulled back here, so I'm just going to go back to small size and wait. The third time is the charm, right? We got to make sure to just, if the setup is good, to just go for it, keep it tight. The continuation dip we did take, although we're in 20 cents higher, it didn't go, so we're back out for like a 10-15 cent loss. If that goes, we're in at 11.80, and we're probably out at like, 12.50 or something if it was to really open up again. The others are selling off. Back to small size. Bro, at this rate, I'm not even gonna look at the open. Today I'm out like south. I can keep the live stream on, maybe just for the comments and like the chat, maybe the scans. But again, you can see, a guy like Ross comes in, bro. What's the point of waiting for the open when the open sucks like what we're seeing now? You might as well just leave early, protect the gains. AIHS. The good thing with the hotkey is that once the order comes out early, it seems like you're gonna get the fill. But in that moment between you hitting the sell button and the order populating through the broker, if the price ticks down from where it registered your entry with this hotkey, you have to cancel and try to sell again. But once you're hitting that bid, you're gonna get the fill, it looks like. Man, this would have been nice to get this move. And I tried buying before 1050, but it moved up so fast that I got filled at 1080 on the starter. But over 11, we have a chance of retesting the highs there. Just false breakout, sadly. So if we could have gotten up to 2, because we've already took the trade for the retest of 1230, if that was to work, and then we get the next trade, like let's say below 13, and then through 13, would have been really nice. Honestly, on a stock like this, it'll be worth paying the commissions for better fills in pre-market. I can already tell. But the follow through on a stock, and that's why the cheaper stock probably wouldn't make sense unless it has a really good range. But if a faster broker means paying $2 to guarantee like a 10,000 share position when the stock can go $1 a share, then it's a no-brainer, right? It is interesting here. I'm watching with starter size again. Okay, I'm a little early there. Yeah, okay, it's back down. So I probably wouldn't touch it unless it really clears 11. And that was a quick drop too. Ay, ay, ay. Starter size until a stock proves that it's strong. Let me add this to my notes here. My notes for the open might become obsolete because I might not even trade the open today. Like after studying last night, there were some things that I was seeing that's like, bro. Like there were some trades I took that were actually decent trades, but because of how much the stock is off the lows and how tricky it is to determine the low, it's hard to then hold, let's say, like 16 cents off the level. When we've been rejecting high of day a lot, however, the moves through high of day have been working once they do work, which is kind of a tough pill because it's not as linear as we would like. I think I might be out of stickies. It's back at 1050 here. But the key though will be, I think, if we size up, like, similar to the open almost, right? Where if you size up thinking, or even if the stock proves that it's like holding up the first pullback or two and move up, and then you size up and then the stock still fails, I think that's where like it'll be a little bit tougher. You take that loss, that bigger loss because the size. TMDE curling up a bit from the VWAP. I'll put it on the back of this one here from last night. But the moves on this one, the move on HSDT a few days ago, is exactly how a move would look during the open of a few months ago when a stock is going up. Like the exact, like nothing is different about it. It's such familiar price action. So, I think the time will come again where it comes back around, but maybe it's a couple more months again, right? But I'm telling the audience, man, like once that time comes, like it'll be back to business. How much size would I have to use to to make like 90,000. The stock went from, I mean, it depends on how early you're here too, but let's assume that this move here at 654 is the same price action. Honestly, with like 15,000 shares, 15,000 share blocks, it could be done. 10, maybe even 10,000 share blocks. But you need to be in though without slippage and or partial fills. It's a mentality for sure more than anything else, especially if you have the buying power. You know, mentally you got to be able to take that position and not crumble underneath what the outcome could be. You still have to execute this trade the same way and then also understand what it means to take losses, which is why people like to gradually build a cushion over time. And then as they're building that cushion, they're constantly increasing size in increments. Most of the times, it's best not to jump from 1,000 shares to 5,000 shares because, you know, if it's your first time with that size and if the trade ends up being a strong stock that fails, you know, you can wipe out like days or weeks of gains, even depending on the size you're coming from. However, this is where some traders can skip steps, which is not, you know, a good thing per se for what we like to do. We like to take it slow, but there are instances where you'll size up and the trade works, and because now it worked and you made a 5k day after your biggest green day being maybe 300, now you have that cushion and that experience to go back in with size. And then you, especially if it's a hot day, then before you know it, you finish the day up 10k. And it's like you kind of skip that longer journey of an extra 2-3 months. But in the grand scheme of time, what's an extra 2-3 months, right? So, because if you do take the loss, then maybe it sets you back 3 to 6 months, right? So there's risk, there's reward, and there's options, which I guess is the good thing. We all have the option to choose what we think could be best. All right, 8 a.m. is coming up, but I think I'll walk away for a second. ICON is curling up. I'll walk away for a sec, and I'll be back. I'll probably be gone for like 20 minutes though. So I probably just leave the scanner and I'll probably miss the 8 a.m. spike. I don't know. Well, actually, well, okay, I'll stay because I guess I'll just eat a later breakfast and probably shut it down into the first hour of the open. That could work. ICON back at 318. It could take off here. I'll keep an eye with starter size. The reason why I gotta eat though is because I'm going to the gym these days. And what I notice is that when I don't eat a good breakfast, and it has to be like high protein, I can't lift the same amount of weights. But I kind of skipped because I didn't want to miss the 7 a.m. push. If I did, I would have been coming in at like 7:15 or 7:10. So I was like, okay, let's just skip. My schedule is still cooked. Gotta figure out how to get everything done on time. Sometimes part of the problem for me is like getting out of bed. It took me like 13 to 15 minutes this time after my alarm. And that's because I probably didn't go to sleep early enough, right? That's the key. Because the day starts at night with an early bedtime. But the problem is that I'm in bed since 9 p.m. and can't sleep until close to 11. Okay? If it holds the first dip here, I'm still sticking to small size, but let's see how it does. Through 50. There's a couple cents. Not the breakout I'd like. It needs to hold up the first dip here. Let me pull it on screen, by the way. Forgot. There it is. Can we hold the first dip? Yeah, but I need to be, if I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and feel good, I need to fall asleep earlier. Trying 55 here, tight stop. Still using the starter size. This one, I think I need to still see some more. Like this is a losing trade. I'm not going to get filled there. Let's try again to get out. 47 exit. Yeah, so still having some trouble getting the dips to hold up and continue. So it's trending up, but a little bit more tricky, a little bit more choppy, I'd say. It's kind of grinding down here. Triad, your mic is on, by the way. Maybe I don't think there's a setting. You might have on push to talk in the settings. Maybe that's the only thing I could guess. Um, but of course, there's your mic's audio. like the mute button on your mic, and then the mute button in Discord itself. But maybe push to talk might be on, and so if there's noise in your background, maybe it triggers your mic. I don't know. That's my only guess there. This day is making me think a little bit, right? Like right now, I'm thinking I don't even want to look at the open. So why am I looking at the open at all? I think it's a question to ask myself here. If because I'm green today, I don't even want to look at the open and trade, then why am I trading the open ever? There's definitely still opportunities for sure, without a doubt. There's opportunities, those dip trades I think are the key. And dip trades, I think I definitely need a lot more work. And a big part, I mean, it's not that I'm so bad at dip trades per se, but it's the way how these pullbacks are happening and how the bottom is priced in. Like I've never seen bottoms be priced in such a silly way. So I was thinking last night, maybe like the starter size has to be really small, and it has to act as a foothold in those areas where it's a little bit more tricky to determine. But then it feels like if I'm guessing because I'm not seeing all the criteria being met for where a bottom should be. And so to just be throwing out that starter in every one of those areas kind of seem a little too much, right? But then maybe that's what's required because again, if not, I'm just not going to be in anywhere close at all. And it's going to be tough for me to try to hold on the way up. Because really and truly, if the entry is exact support and I can say to myself comfortably, I like where I'm in and here's my stop, I don't need to be getting in and out of the trade too many times, right? But it's when we're off of support by a good amount and you're just seeing that selling coming in, and part of how we've trained ourselves to trade with hyper scalping is to be getting out the moment that there's weakness in the uptrend, especially if we can retest lows, right? It's like we might as well just get out and get back in lower. But then we'll drop a couple cents, 5 cents, stock rips back up 6, 7 cents, and then you're not in lower, you're not even in where you were, and then now the stock is higher. And then it's like a vicious cycle. TORO back down. TORO. Is this actually Turo? Or is this a different company? It might be. And their stock price is in the depths. IPOing at 25. Maybe might not be. Let me see. I probably could add a couple of shares of this. Or is this a different thing? Different company? Lawnmower. Oh, no, no, no. This is a different company. Hold up. Let me double check. Stock. Turf maintenance equipment. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a whole different stock. Turf maintenance. Well, good for them, right? Good for them. Anytime you can have a company IPO and, surviving. if Merciless Markets and Relentless Trading was to go public, would you guys invest into us? Would you guys buy our stock? I want to know what the audience has to say on this. This will be good for me actually. Let's see what the people will say. TORO in the depths. Someone said yes, someone said hell no, someone else said good old pump and dump. Hey, I love the honesty, man. I would open up an account with Cobra and Short. Oh my gosh, goodness. Ay ay ay. What's the income? How much cash you guys got on the books? Yeah, I guess you'd have to look at the financials, right? See, if I owned the company myself, I honestly would make videos on this stuff and like just it's I think it's good for content. It's not good. There's always backlash, right? As in like the people close to me will then know exactly how much money I'm making and all this stuff, which is it's not really ideal, right? Typically, especially when you get to a good stage of adulthood, nobody really talks about their income. It's a little bit more taboo. Me, on the other hand, I'm in the public's eye, right? People can kind of come and see what I'm doing here with trading. So that in itself is a bit of a, it's good and bad. It's like a how do I say this? It's like I'll have a reputation and like a status, which could be good and could be bad at the same time. Um, there are pros and cons to it. Some of the bigger cons are always like security things, but there are some upsides too, right? Like I mean, one one of the bigger places where this stood out was actually at one of our students' weddings. I mean, we were like celebrities there. Some of the guys did drive some crazy sports cars, but even around where I am and like people who know me, again, there's pros and cons. It's not. I don't think it's all good. You just people's intentions can always be skewed, things like that. So you got to always be careful and know how to read people. I think if you don't know how to read people, you can have a hard time. But not to get too sidetracked from the original question here. But yeah, I would share financial information if it was just me. But because there's a team and other people are more private, it's a little bit more tough to talk about that stuff. The thing is, when you have money, people naturally gravitate towards you. And I don't think it's all bad per se, because people naturally gravitate towards what's working, what's winning, what's good, what's attractive, all those things. You'll have more people will try to be. I mean, my circle is pretty small because, I'm very particular, but people will definitely try to gravitate towards you. And their intentions might not be bad all the time. Sometimes maybe they're trying to learn, other times maybe they're trying to, you know, just pick up something off of you in terms of just knowledge, right? Other times it will be people trying to take advantage of you. But again, you have to know your circle, be careful. SBET was mentioned. Not really seeing a ton hitting the scans. Like when I go on dates and these things, I don't like, even when people ask me how much, not how much, what I do for work, I just say, I work in finance. That's kind of like what I say. I make it seem pretty like bland and generic. Yeah, I work in finance, and I'll probably say, "Oh yeah, I work from home in finance." And that's it. At a medium-sized company. If not the pastor, it could be, But at the end of the day, people again, even when it comes to like relationships, friendships, these things play a role, right? Especially if someone is like a real celebrity. I mean, there's nothing a guy like Justin Bieber could do. That's just part of who he is. Part of the deal. The pastor, though, code switches and moves accordingly. OP, pop and drop, bump and dump, it looks like. Will it hold up? RBEN back at 1050. Perhaps round three. Hold up, hold up. If it goes over 11 here, small size first. I'm not going to go back to full size just to protect the gains, but I could use up to 600 shares, which could still be pretty helpful here. I want to see it holding over 11. Right, money has always been a pretty valuable asset, right? But right now money is more valuable than it's ever been because of how expensive everything is, because of all this crazy inflation. So the team has to move accordingly. The stock is still fighting. And there's 1070. Not jumping in just yet because we've had resistance here. I still think the first trade over the level, I'll use starter size just in case it does a major drop. I think right now to cancel orders, I have Shift C. I think I'm going to change that hotkey to Shift Spacebar. I think it'll be a little bit more easier. I use the keyboard every day, and it's like just these 5 hotkeys I'm like fumbling with. There's 1065, 1069. Again, over 11 is what I'm watching for here. We do have a new 5-minute candle. Will we be able to push up? Just waiting patiently. I mean, the chart, it's hard to say. We do have two topping wicks the last time we came up. What I'm thinking is if it tries, will we see like a triple top? Or can we be able to push through? But even from here to 12 wouldn't be bad. If it does stalls out, that's enough to make something. Especially if it gives the dip. Okay. It's coming up a little bit. Still not in yet, just waiting. Oh, what is it gonna be? I want to see how it reacts over the level, and then I'll make my decision there. I want to see it rip through the level aggressively, and then hold up. Okay. Okay. Taking the starter. Oh, I see it's right back down. Can I get the fill to get out? That's why that needed to be a starter. That would have been bad with size, man. That would have been like a 60-cent loss. Ah, man, come on. So we're not even going to get close to 12 before it comes down. All right. Fair is fair. And it's back at 11. Sticking to small size. That was 11:13 entry out at 10:30. Brutal. But just 80 shares though. 80 shares. Don't forget if you're tuning in on YouTube to hit that thumbs up. If you're tuning in on YouTube, be sure to hit the thumbs up. If you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. So maybe this one might, I mean, it could try again, but didn't like this last area here. And remember our disclaimer, day trading is risky. Day trading is risky. RBNE. Robin Energy. It's been a while since I've seen an energy company. Also, I didn't check the SPY. I know there was an attack from Israel on Iran. Yeah, the SPY is definitely going to be down a little. I mean, it's not down a lot, but It seems like we're in a time where communication should be so high and is so high that you would think we would be able to come to agreements, without having to be violent. So certain things are classified, but it definitely seems that more is at play than what is being shown because certain things it just doesn't make any sense. And like in this day and age, they shouldn't be wars and these type of things. Back in the days when you have to travel on a horse for 60 days to get to deliver a message, then or across the ocean with a boat, a sailboat. We understand that it takes so long that by the time it gets there, there's already some sort of bloodshed. But nowadays, this stuff should already been abolished, extinct. Is it Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th. Very iconic day here in reference to that movie. I believe it's Scream. Is it the Scream movie or is it just Jason versus Freddy or something like that? You got May the 4th for Star Wars Day. Those are the only two I can think of. Yeah, Derek, nice trade, man. That was a good trade there. The moment that continues, you're in the driver's seat. Someone in the chat room saying you got to stay ready like a sniper. Believe it or not, I actually wanted to do some. I I'm a huge fan of like the army training. Now I wouldn't want to join the army because that's a little too much for my style, but the training itself would be very fun. I feel Hell Week and so forth, like throughout the whole thing. Although I still can't swim and I should be taking lessons, which is pretty sad to not be able to swim, but that probably would be my only hindrance. Definitely wouldn't be able to be a Navy SEAL. USEG. sticking sticking to the stereotype. Bro, the way how I grew up, like where I'm from in South America, right? There are kids like the age of like 6, 8, 10, and it's normal back in those days for kids to like just, how do I describe this to where it doesn't sound reckless? Because in America, it's unheard of for kids that age to be like playing far away from the house kind of thing. Like the farthest they go is like the lawn, the backyard. But it's like a different like dynamic, different culture. And kids that age would go far and like, kind of do whatever and come back. I know that might sound crazy, but BRN hitting, and kids would go and then sometimes they'll end up at like small you know, trenches and like I don't even want to like let's say ponds, not really lakes ever, because like lakes are like massive. Let's call it a pond. It might be like 5 feet, and they're maybe trying to catch some fish or crab or something, and then accidents happen. So for my siblings and I, it's been like, hey, like stay away from any sort of water, like rather than okay, people can lose their lives. Let me get you guys instructions from a coach. That was not the approach, which I think it should have been the approach. ICON is at 330, moving up a bit. So it's been like, stay away from any pool, stay away from everything water, stay away. And then, if you're coming from like a tougher situation, the odds of even having a pool is just super low. So just learning naturally by yourself is already out of the question. Because I find that if I'm in a pool for a long time, it like you become so comfortable. Like you're laying at the bottom of the pool just for fun. You're walking across the bottom, you're doing flips, you're learning how to float. Here in the slums, there are community pools, but to even go to one of those, like it's absolute depths. Sadly. So the pastor now has to pay for lessons at this grown age. And for me, I think beyond just having fun in the water, for me it's more like survival, like I just need to know that if I'm crossing anything for any reason, that I'm not gonna die very stupidly. Like, you go hiking and then you gotta cross a little waterway and like, you die because of that is like just like I would be so miserable. I wouldn't be able to rest peacefully. RT goes hiking and dies because he couldn't swim across a 5 foot pond. It's like that's like I just can't imagine how embarrassing that sounds like. Anyhow, I'm getting too off topic here. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. ICON is still trying here. Some people now tuning in, like, what the heck is he talking about? ICON. The pattern seems a little similar to REBN, which sold off, RBNE, which sold off. So maybe they'll give opportunities into the open. I'd be embarrassed in the afterlife, man. In your mind, you can think certain things. Like you can think like, yeah, like and fear is the biggest factor, right? But you can think in your mind like, yeah, I'll be able to do that, no problem. And then you find yourself in the moment. Like Save is a pretty funny guy, right? Last side note here before I lock in again. Oh, hold up. ICON. Starter size. I'd like to see it through the highs. We have 78 for highs. All right, it's coming up a bit. I'm going to throw out the starter here a little early just to see what it does. Can we get over 78? Okay, okay. This is where we need to hold up and continue. So we got to 83 and then back to 54 here. It could be a triple top if we're not able to hold above that level. Candle has 10 seconds and it's showing a topping wick. Could be coming down here. The 5 minute candle, though, however, is still strong and does have another minute. And it is going to come down. Tough one. See, like, right, once we get through the level, like, that's where we need to just hold up and just keep going. So I've lost on this one a little too many times here, I feel. Topping wick. Yeah, back to the story, right? So in the last team, oh no, not the last one. I think this is the Florida one. It's like a 6 feet pool, and I'm like swimming across the deep end and back a couple times, and it's like some good practice, right? But I'm not a good swimmer at all, not even close. Now we go on this massive 50-foot catamaran, and then we get to our destination where some of the guys are gonna jump in and like go for a swim. All right, so Save now goes and says, "All right, RT, no more sim. Time for the real thing. Time to jump in." We're in like this massive canal that's like 20 feet deep, and at least like 100 yards, you know, bank to bank. And I'm like, jump in what? Where? There's no way. There's no way. Now, because I'm a brave soul, I did jump in, but with a life vest, of course. And that's the moment I knew and realized, like, yeah, bro, like this is a must learn thing. But not knowing how to swim and jumping in with a life vest, I mean, you got to still be somewhat brave. If your life vest somehow slips off, you're cooked. Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. It's like having a stop, right? Having a stop loss, having some sort of safety net as you're jumping into the trade. And of course Tim and all the other guys like, man, if you start to go under, we'll save you. It's like, nah, bro. Can't put the boys in that position. Can't do it. But on the next trip, by then, our lessons will have been completed. And shout out to Marco, by the way. Marco, who was one of the guys that went on that same trip, was actually a lifeguard. Some of these guys are strong swimmers still. ICON, back down. One thing I wouldn't do is to take on unnecessary risks. Calculated risks, educated risks. Risks like the stock market dropping off of the tariff news. Now that's the type of risk I like. I had SPY from like 490s all the way up. Now I sold, but I sold like at like what, four, not four, five. like 590s. But honestly, there's probably still no need to really sell, right? I mean, we're probably going to see new highs before a massive pullback again, unless we literally have more people joining conflict overseas. We're not going to see a drop more than likely, especially if we get good signs from the CPI reports and then we have the interest rates come down, then the companies are going to do better as they can borrow for cheaper and more people are going to spend money in general. But will the tariffs, though, cause a spike in inflation? And how are the Fed going to calculate and factor that into their decision? Because we might start seeing some higher prices on some items here into the late summer, maybe early fall. A lot of these imports, even Walmart already mentioned they're not going to take the loss. And there's been some tweeting between Walmart and the current administration. OP hitting the scans. I got to pull them up quicker. OP from the depths back up. And UKK is at $15. They must have had a split at some point. Lighter volume though. Yeah, so if companies like Walmart are passing on the extra price to the goods, then we're paying more money. This one is a little too light in volume for me here. I think a little too much risk, even with the starter size. It's like going up with like lighter volume, 55,000 shares. Not my cup of tea. So maybe the interest rates might stay a little higher for longer here, even before the next rate cut. And we might not make a ton of progress unless earnings continue to be massive. Nvidia, man. Tesla on the other hand, these guys, missing earnings. They need a robo taxi to deliver. Full self-driving needs to improve even more. But it definitely seems like that's what the future is. And I can see why people are like buying a company like that. Especially when you look at these sci-fi movies, man. Self-driving cars, like who would have thought about self-driving cars? Even just like 10, 15 years ago. And AI is doing, I mean, AI is insane right now. There's so many people who AI is like a friend. They're talking to AI on their phones. I think I need to utilize it more. But it's unbelievable how good the AI is. I'm listening to someone have a conversation with AI, and it sounded like it was a real person. And the information exact, precise, and accurate. And UKK pushing up some more. So how, being that AI is now here to help and make us more efficient, how much quicker is the technology going to progress? So if it took, 20 years of development to get close to self-driving cars, it might take another 10 years to get to flying cars because that's just the rate it seems like we're going. So if these companies are to deliver on what they're saying they can, then they're probably going to just get more valuable. But if they don't, then that's where the risk is, right? Yeah, shout out to Triad. Triad, Triad is a good guy, man, and we've been jet skiing a couple times now. Actually, there's a picture I could share to the chat here. Let me. This is the craziest thing ever, right? Where we were on this boat, the water was only like 4 feet deep, but it almost felt like we are standing in the middle of the ocean. I think I could find this picture here at the beach house here. Shout out to Pete too, man. Pete's such a good guy. Nothing is moving. I don't think I'm missing anything. RBEN at 1027 though. Let's pull it back up. NUKK I'm not gonna touch. If this one, if RBNE rather, RBNE gets over 11, I'll be interested again. I think NUKK is a little too risky. That is a very famous stock though from back in the days. I don't think the server is boosted right now either, so I probably wouldn't even be able to share this video. Servers in the depths. I think I'm definitely a brave guy for not knowing how to swim. And for sure I can't let my mother see any of this because she would lose her mind as the pastor does very adventurous things. But once I got on a life jacket, man, I'm chilling, man. They can drop me in the middle of the ocean. Oh, it's a minute long. Jeez. Yeah, this is definitely not gonna. I guess I'll screenshot part of it. This will work. Boys, jet skiing in the middle of the sea. In the middle of Nowheresville. I'll post it to the Gen chat so it doesn't. Uh, I have to scroll back a while to find it. Gen chat. Boom, boom, boom. This is like in the middle of this right here. It's like in the middle of in the middle of a massive, massive. I don't know what to even call this. I don't think it's a river. It's just like an opening, but it was like 4 feet deep right there in this area for like the next 80 yards. But it's why you definitely have to know how to swim. If you don't have a jacket and you keep walking, you're gonna like fall off the edge basically, and then that would be the end of it. That would be the end of it. The boys, man. Jet skiing, fishing. We caught a good couple of fish too on those trips. Shout out to Triad and Crispy. Fishing with the boys. Yeah, I heard there's one survivor from the flight. What a story that would be. If it is true, I'm not sure if it's true, but hopefully, at least one person. But these things are what life is. We're pretty fragile at the end of the day. We can all wake up and feel like we're at the top and nothing can happen, but life can happen. Like my father's the type of person who like if he used to hear me saying like yeah like you could die like in like the swimming example that I use, like he'd like go crazy. But I don't understand why. Like what are we supposed to live as if this thing is not a reality, right? I mean if it was to happen it'll suck, but it's just what it is at that point. And I guess if you've transcended, there are no feelings for you, at least your loved ones. Yeah, it'll be a little tough for them, but it is life will go on. It's hard, but you kind of still have to push through. Okay, nothing hitting the scans. 8:40. I think this might be the time to get the breakfast, whilst the rest of the team holds it down. And by the way, Triad, actually, if your mic is working, if you want to, I think. Hold on, let me double check how the audio would work. If you would want to come on, I mean, you could keep the audience engaged with maybe a bit of a story from from your travels overseas. Triad is one of the other mentors here in the community. One of the other moderators, mentors. Well, never mind. He's trading in in the Dunkin' Donuts. So the Wi-Fi and the connection might not be as good for the audio as well. passing of a younger brother at 38, and 38 is pretty young. Most of the time as we go around, we just don't think things will happen to us. Like I mean, even for me personally, like I'll go, like I want to go skydiving, right? And then I ask myself, I know this is pretty dangerous, but I ask myself, what are the odds that I'm the person whose parachute doesn't open up? And then I say I like those odds because then I don't, you're just thinking it's not going to be you. Even at the amusement parks, like every time I go on a ride, it's like, man, like like these roller coasters are so crazy. Sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes you can miss things in like the maintenance and how sometimes there's also negligence too, right? With these amusement park rides, sometimes they're not checking everything every time. You can get complacent doing the same thing over and over, and then the car is stuck upside down, or the person's buckle comes unloose. But then I go in still saying I'm not going to be the person it happens to, not anybody in my role. But then like it could, and then you kind of it's just tough, man. So we live every day with purpose, right? That's the moral of the story here. Even in the markets, as we try to come in and trade, we want to make sure we keep on the right track. My best day in however long coming in pre-market. Who would have imagined, right? And it just felt so. It feels good in the sense that it's the type of momentum that I'm used to trading under normal context. Even the stock yesterday went up. I thought it was going to be pretty good, but the move, the three candles that we had, just no entries on the way up, just almost like straight up. And then the consolidation, we give back some more, doubling our loss in the stock and essentially doubling the red day. Key will be to keep it like being that, like for example on this other one, ICON, we're down $100. I think this is the key, right? On the ones where it's just not as clean, just got to keep it as tight as possible. But on the ones that do work, and I'll be able to tell if it's working quickly, those are the ones to just to hit the size right immediately. The next trade has to be with size immediately. That way we can capitalize the front side, be quick to ease off the back side, and then just go back on the sidelines. So we could see, you know, a better balance here between the green and red. Sometimes I do think about, if I'm to take this channel into a whole different direction and become a nomad trader. This is something that I've in the past, like 5 years ago, I thought I would do, especially at like where I am now. But I think because of other responsibilities like outside the market is a little bit more tough to do. RBNE curling up again, 1030. Triad with the low cut looking clean, man. For anybody that does want to check out the scans, you guys can check the link in my description. So I made a deal with Ross, right? What I'm about to say here is not true at all, but I'm gonna still say it because this is the kind of jokes I like to make. I made a deal with Ross, right? And so if enough people use the scanner through my link, he's gonna come to a team house. And hopefully he's listening to this right now. If his people are listening. If we get enough people to use this link, he will come to a team house. Come to the team house as a equal member. You know, Ross, I'd be nice enough to give you the master room if you're watching here, which is not which is not something that I do ever. I'm only willing to give the master room to Humble and to Ross whenever they're to come on a team house trip. All the others, they'll get the secondary master. There's usually like two masters wherever we go because the houses are so crazy. Man, we've been to some crazy places, but it's so far it's been in the US. The next trip might be in the US again because of just circumstances. But for sure there's going to be one soon. The October trip will more than likely be somewhere overseas. And I would love to go to Spain, honestly. Spain, I mean anywhere, Japan, Spain, anything. Anywhere new, something fresh. We've looked at a place in Mexico and this place was really nice, but we don't know if it'll happen. It's literally built into like a cliffside. Talking about a risk, right? Shout out to Beat a Story, by the way. He was a really cool guy, man. Also, shout out to Patrick who did message us that one time. We're gonna message all these people again when the time comes. But this next one, we don't know how it. This next one is gonna be different. It's gonna be a little smaller scale because again because of circumstances. But in October we'll do another big one. I think we're gonna do another big one. Patrick, as mentioned last time, Patrick Whelan, he definitely seems like he has the team house vibes already. Some people have different personalities. Some are more like chilled out. Some people are more outgoing. We're gonna be with a guy like Patrick Whelan. We're probably gonna be racing supercars or something. Might make for some good content. Most people are pretty cool when you meet them. I've yet to meet somebody who's been like a crazy person. RBNE coming back down. So it looks like at this rate it'll be, maybe the Open will probably see something. Maybe. Maybe. I should have gotten my breakfast, bro. It's gonna throw off my whole schedule. I think I might go do it now. Because today I gotta go to the gym today. Yesterday I actually didn't go. Today it's mandatory. Today we're doing upper body. We're doing upper body and chest, shoulders, a little bit of arms. Saturday will be legs and lower body. Yeah, but the next team house that we're doing, it needs to be something fresh. And we've went to all the major states, maybe except for Texas. And Texas has a lot of major cities. If we do Texas at some point, it's more than likely going to be Dallas. More than likely Dallas, but we'll see. That would probably be next year, maybe at some point later in the year. But in October, let's say Q3, Q4, we're probably gonna do somewhere overseas. Even Italy would be nice. I mean, honestly, anywhere, it doesn't matter. Anywhere, Australia, we just would have to think about the flight and if we want to trade the time of day. But if we're not trading, it's not gonna matter. Actually have like a real more of like a real vacation because it's business when we go, it's work. But if we're not trading, we're probably still going to be filming, so it'll still be still be work, I guess, but just without the trading. And then at some point, I'll take the boys to where I'm from in South America. We'll probably go to Guyana and then maybe Brazil all in one trip. Take the boys to the jungle, to the real jungle. There's certain things I want to say, but I'll hold off on saying. But that could be it. I mean, the food there is gonna be good, that's for sure. Some of them might not like the weather because it's gonna be hot and humid. Maybe even a little bit more humid than the Florida weather. And the rain, it's good. You gotta definitely not go in the rainy season. There's so much downtime as we trade. There's nothing's happened here since 7:30. Since 7:30, we're just here. And this is why they end up calling me the pastor, right? That nickname. Because throughout some of the moments where nothing is happening, I just start to talk. And some of it will be motivational stuff. So we can really get into it. But we've been trying to at least keep an eye on the scans here and not get too off topic. Once again, shout out to Wrong Bet, longtime member of the chat room, who did turn profitable and has made over 26,000. Shout out to him. I did post that link yesterday. Joe Rogan is based in Texas. Interesting. I thought California. I mean, we could reach out to him. Who knows? He's in Austin. Nice, nice. Munich in Germany. Last 2 weeks in September. Tim would love that, man. Tim is in terms of beer. Tim is the guy. Guys, Tim is massive, man. Tim is like 6'4", 6'5", and Tim will down a couple of them. LMD, what's up, man? Been a long time. Hope you're doing well. LMD in the building. You guys can check out LMD's channel, by the way. He'll also do some day trades, I think some options as well. A little bit of large caps as well, so you guys can check him out. Living my dream, living the dream. So Oktoberfest in Munich, last 2 weeks of September. I guess it's good to go now because once, time is going, right? Once these guys decide, I think I might be a little bit more slow to this, but some of the other guys, it seems like maybe they might be a little quicker. Once the kids start coming, the marriages, the kids, everything, you know, it's not the exact same, right? In terms of how fast you can just decide you want to go somewhere and then do it. Here we go with RBNE once again. RBNE, small size here if it gets over 11. There's a touch of 11 back down to 1080. I could take it a little early. Let's see. Time. Okay. Okay, waiting. We're into the new candle here. We've got about 3 minutes left in our current 5 minute. We're into the new 1 minute candle. I heard Mardi Gras is good too. Down there in Louisiana. All these things it's a little nice to do when you can, if you have the opportunity to. I don't think spring break Miami is a thing anymore, but I had a guy who was telling me how like crazy it was when he went a while ago, back when the Miami Heat was in the finals with Dallas. Here's 1080, 1080, 1086. Can we push through 11 and hold? My first trade is going to be with really small size again. Not looking to size up unless it holds the pullback and keeps going. All right, here we are. I'm gonna take the starter here. It's really small size. See if it continues. We got to 25 back down. How well are we gonna continue to hold up the pullback here? I think it might go. It's looking a little bit better than last time. Last time we were already back down at like 1040. This could go. So I wonder if the early dip here could be worth it. So I'm gonna take 89 with a stop, small size again. If we get over 1020 or 1120 here and pull away, it might mean business. Come on, over 1120, over 1120. Took it off right at 1115, not quite immediate enough. And looking to get back in. But this time I'm going to let it go and then watch. Forgetting my hotkeys too. I actually got to take a look here. Uh, 2,600, 300. VB. Okay. V and B. 47 the low, and we're into a new 5-minute candle. There's still 20 plus minutes to the open. Let's see how far it goes. I think 12 should be the target here. I'm going to watch to get back in. I did still take it off, but can we... Come on, come on. All right. Oh, come on, come on. Hold up, hold up. Looking for 1230. Holy shit. Oh man, no, I didn't capture it properly. I might have botched it a little bit. I might have botched it a little bit. Not going back to full size, I don't think it's worth it. The risk to go back to flat. All right, taking that loss. That might have been the bottom there though. Time. Candle still looks good. 60s. Not as quick as I needed to be here, I think. Time? It's definitely having a little bit of trouble. Like there's a little bit more selling than we would expect. 52. What time? We've held up for a while. Can we see the red to green and recovery here? Watching. If it doesn't hold here, I'm looking to cut it. It needs to hold. We don't need any lower than this, honestly. This has to be the dip of all dips. All right. Can we see back over 12? I could have held that longer, but taking the 50 cents. It's not really dipping here, but it's not going either. After that move off the low. What's it going to be? Oh. Shoots. See, man, I hate not being able to get the fill there, man, but it looks like it could go. It didn't quite go. It just took off from down there. Makes it a little tough to jump in. But I think I might chase it if it goes. We should be ripping through 13. I did chase it. It did go. Well, not really chase, but I bought 1250 a little higher. Watching for the new high again. Could be worth it. I'm in at the new high, and it's Not quite right away. 914. I think dips should be good, but being early on dips could be deadly too, so gotta be careful. Trying one more time right here. Not quite. 50, 50. Didn't try again. I needed to there. It's hard to say if we're like seeing backside now. Didn't really get to add much there because we did take some losses and we kind of missed one of the bigger pushes early. The low 26 for now. Oh, I think the wrong hotkey. Why am I not getting filled? Oh no, I'm on the wrong freaking thing. That's why. Man, come on. I trying to execute through Thinkorswim by accident there. Just rookie mistake. It seems like it's. I tried for 34 entry there. It seems like it's like turning here though, so it could be backside here. Might maybe best to just ease off. I will wait just in case. It looks like it's having some trouble for sure. It could be the end of that move. And at least it sets us up for the open though, because this is a pretty bullish move. Maybe we see some continuation into the open. All right, hands off. Yeah, I think they said Ross was up like 85,000 earlier. Mm. 100 for just guys, just imagine if you're making that kind of money, man. It's really like you can't hate on any of this, you know? It's really encouraging, it's inspiring really for all the big traders out there who are doing numbers like that. Man, on the last trip we went on, we met a couple of big guys too, like some guys who were like, just the only thing you can do is just be encouraged and inspired, man. Like it's so interesting, right? You admire this work ethic and just high level of trading. One of the guys, he came to the house. His car alone is like worth 300,000. The other guy kind of, I don't know what he came with, like maybe on a bike, but he was worth more. He's made more, and he trades options, large caps, made over 60 million. Like I don't even think Ross has made over 60 million, right? I mean, there's some big time traders, man. There are some big time guys. Who cares about cars? A lot of people, man. I mean, once you get to a certain point, right, you can enjoy the money. Because why else make so much money? If your money is just all sitting in an account, just I mean, if it's compounding, even still, right? If you have 100 million at that point, you have to at least enjoy some of it, and that can mean different things for different people. Traveling, you know, exotic items, collectibles. Some people have dinosaur bones in their living room, and then you might say, "Who the hell would buy dinosaur bones?" Right? But everybody has like a different taste. Oh man, have the money so your grandson and grandchildren enjoy it. Yeah, but how much money do they really need to enjoy? If I have 60 million, I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna spend 60 million. That would be insane. But you can spend a million or two, on some fun things if you've worked that hard. Some people like boats, right, and fishing. Some boats can be expensive. You might end up paying like half a million for a nice solid boat, and then there's the maintenance over the years. Bro, Ross has a fire station of classic cars, like of like 50 of them or something crazy, like 20 of them. You guys didn't see that video from back in the days? But again, for me, it's more so like motivation, encouragement, that type of thing, right? The bigger traders in like the YouTube space, or the people who we meet in person. That's the main thing. It's just pulling away that encouragement and excitement too. Excitement also in terms of knowing what could be done. So you in return, you work harder and study more. Because when I started, that's what made me start, right? Is that seeing I still can't remember if it was Tim Sykes or Ross, one of those two guys. It's like making 10,000 in a day. And it's like, is this real? There's no way this is real without a proper business. Are we done pulling back here? Perhaps, maybe. I think it's setting up for the open, if anything. We might see the opening surge on this one. Let me see here. I might throw out a starter again. Waiting. I'll wait a little more. Maybe I gotta give those starters more time because I'm seeing a churn. I'm like, okay, I'll take it off. But it is a starter at the end of the day, right? But yeah, being a little inspired there, and then before you know it, you're like trying to learn how to trade. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people got inspired from me too. Like, it's like, yeah, this guy, he's just like a normal guy. We went from like $50 a day to then $100 to like 350 to then like 600. And last year we averaged 1200 a day on average, and our biggest day being 26,000. Looks like it's coming down a bit. There's a guy. There's a guy in my one of my siblings' workplace that watches me, right? And around this time, my car had gotten stolen, and the guy was like, "Yeah, this is like literally the day after I made like 18,000, somewhere around that time, or like a couple days after, or like a week after, something like that." The guy's like, "Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll have another big day soon." And since then we've been in the depths, so I can feel that next big green day coming. A nice sweet day. We'll take it whenever it does come, but definitely not gonna force it though. That's for sure. Only when the time is right. And it's why I'm always so optimistic, because when we start to see more clean action like this, especially in the open, we're going to continue to try to be better pre-market, but into the open, man, I already know what I can do with size. The new record days and record weeks are still to come when the market is back to business in the first hour and a half of the open. All of the traders in our chat room is going to have record days. I can already see Big Steve up, 15K, 20K. No, I mean my insurance did help out, but I got cooked. I got cooked bad, bro. My car had a lot of aftermarket stuff, and then they still cooked me on just the value of what it should have been worth too. But one scratch trade. That's how you gotta play it off. Because in the grand scheme of things, it is one scratch trade on a really good day. When our dream comes true of making 30K a day, if we want, we can buy a new car every day of the week. That's how the money will be coming. And then when we get there, we'll find out if 100K a day will make sense. We have 40 seconds into the open. I didn't post the watch list, by the way, but RBNE and ICON are the top two. RBNE primarily. I got 200 shares here into the open, and I want to pay attention for the 5 minute candle to potentially make the new high. A bit of a churn early. It's not instant through 12. Okay, it'll try again. Oh, come on. That looked good. So no opening surge there. No opening surge. Definitely has the range though. The dip at 12 ended up going down to 1150 or so. Can we get over the current high of day and hold above that level? ICON not looking that good. I'm gonna fumble that trade there a little bit. We held up. We actually held up. That's a full dollar a share already. It might halt up here. No dip, no dip, no dip, no bigger dip. Terrible fill. Absolute monstrosity of a fill there. See, that's a tough trade. You know, it's a great idea and expectation that we should give the dip, but I'm filled 40 cents higher. The halt is at 1361. You gotta get some of those fills. And I think adding into that is a little too risky. I don't like that I haven't added to the gains because we did have some opportunity there. We also fumbled the dip at 11:40, being in and out too quickly. High of the current candle is 13.13. If it pulls back, I'm willing to give it a chance to see what it does. If not, watching, waiting. Could potentially go up without going back down again. And our candle did turn red there too, so we gotta be mindful of that. The dip is fighting for its life right now. Not the best entry there. So the dip worked out. Dip ended up working out there. A new low on the pullback. Fine. Time. I'm gonna take a starter again here and wait. Got filled a little higher, but okay. No problemo. Looking to give it a chance here, unless it makes a new low again. Are we holding? All right. Looks like it's holding. Not quite the slingshot yet. And all right, I'm out. 33. It might, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I hope we're not seeing a early Head and Shoulders here in 1 minute. We need to hold up. We need to hold up. Also, I'm buying the ask in pre-market, and it seems like, I'm getting better fills buying the ask than trying to take a quick market order, which is like pretty mad. Price improvements in the depths, a thing of the past. If you're tuning in on YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. If you're tuning in on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're a new viewer, also consider subscribing to the channel. I was a little reluctant on the two dips, but they both worked. Our follow through, though, not so much. We did have one good other entry on the candle at 37, but T-Pet. T-Pet back down. Not seeing anything else really getting called out. Alt down, 11:39. That is true. Are there kids playing outside at this time of day, man? I uh, I know summer vacation has started, but what is this? It's too early for this. Where's the HOA? We got 1180 on the way down. EONR looks good. 63 to 76. I've already missed a good chunk of it. EONR moving up. ICON is pushing up a little bit here too. Taking a starter on ICON. Stop is at 07, 08. Watching to see how this one does. 07, 08. Stop. I did stop out at 04. Got back in at 93, out at 98. And of course, the open is. I mean, this there's an opportunity in here, but a little short-lived, right? Just mentioned. Time to shut it down. Is what it is. Oh, EONR, red to green. EONR curled up. Man, it is so tough to get those lows, and the first dip is flushing out like a Titanic. Bro, these stocks are like insane, man. Come on. Can we get some cleaner price action? That right there is my cue to take the green, take the 1K and bounce. Um, I think I can leave the scans on maybe for a little bit and then come back. But yeah, I will be taking my leave early here and locking in the gains. Bro, these stocks just, I mean, just look at it. I don't know what it is with this open, man, but uh like the price action going up right there is insane. Yeah, RBNE did curl back up. 200, I got to use small size. We got all the way to 1266. It might need to pull back here though. I gotta definitely be a little faster with this stock here. Over 13 is where we might see a bit of a pull away. I mean, if I'm holding from like 1180, I mean, do I really give this thing a chance or do I take profits, you know? It's like it's the 5 minute setup looks good for the longer hold though, but maybe we might see some more indecision here. Sometimes they're not convincing to say, let me just hold and add. So people who are in lower might be selling, short sellers could be trying a thing or two, and then before you know it, you're not seeing the extension. We need to see it hold and then continue. So we went from 1180 to 1250 area here. We did pull back down to 1210, got back to 1250. Will we be able to continue? Like right here, short sellers should be getting glazed. People should be, you know, they should be halting up. Come on, chase down that halt level like you know you can. To the moon. But instead, there's still some churn. Taking 84. Damn, bro, I'm filled at 12. I'm filled at 12 trying to get 84 right there. 12 on the other side of the whole dollar. Yo, fuck. Come on, man. I thought my mic was muted there. I'm gonna say some not so nice words. RBNE. But this is where I'd expect that aggressive continuation. Okay, good, good. Now halt up at 98. Now get locked in. It's like it gives the move, but it's just a little, it's like a little, in terms of the speed and the time, it's just not the normal, but nice. If I don't get that cooked filled, see, even with that trade right there, I'm not gonna make anything. But if my fill on that dip is anything decent, I'm in control of this the second part of this move. I get filled 30 cents higher, and the trade is just not the same anymore. It's just not the same. Or else I'd be in, and even if I'm taking profits at like 50, I'm gonna buy back right away. Just having that flow, that rhythm, seeing the gains, nice move. Now I'm chasing till up there, trying to get 50. I'm filled all the way 73, and then coming out at the halt level. And it's like, bro, I should have made way more there. I actually think using size out of the resumption would make sense, but I don't want to risk my entire day or anything. So I'm gonna do just a couple hundred shares. Bro, on any stock that's uptrending, this is my thought process in my mind all the time, and it's like when you don't make money, it just seems it doesn't even seem real. EONR back up a little bit off the lows, but still in bearish territory. And even so, I'll assume people were short maybe in here. And then maybe people were short again in this consolidation here. And then maybe a little bit here as well, looking for the high of day rejection. Because we were already up pretty high, and they might be thinking this is just going to sell off back down to $4, right? Which is what usually will happen. So there's definitely people, instead of covering what they did, they shorted again right here, right up at 1350. And then they're going to probably add again out of the halt like madmen, and then they're going to get squeezed. So this is where my chance to shine comes in. Honestly, the setup looks so good that I really am tempted to use massive size, but it'll be a little too aggressive to give back the entire day under the context of where we are. So I'm gonna, yeah, Big Steve, man. I think this is an appropriate time actually for that type of size, but I'm gonna still keep it pretty small, just a couple hundred shares. Big Steve, you're not in a drawdown, man. I mean, you can send it. There'll be risks, but 2,500 shares for the Big Steve. Steve, you can be up 4K in the blink of an eye, or you can be down 2,500 very quickly. When it works, it feels good. When it doesn't work, you ask yourself, man, why did I size up so aggressively? Okay, we got 59 seconds. Resumption showing 14:03. We haven't been seeing a lot of entries on halts, so hopefully we see something here. Yeah, pretty much a sideways resumption, and we got 32 seconds. Fifteen seconds at 13.98. Here we go. Oh, it's coming down. That's fair. That's fair. What was that? 1320. I tried 1380 again. It's not gonna hold. We had 1460 for a high. It's still strong here though. Not ideal for what I would want on that resumption there, but still a bit of action. Coming back down to 200 shares from 350. Bro, the fills are insane right now. The halt up 1544. I think the biggest key there was to anticipate that pullback coming all the way. And then you could have been in good position for the dip and rip. Where did we open on that resumption? 13.90. We got some nice entries here in the chat. Will this thing go to 20 bucks? It's possible. Quinn holding a nice position as well. Dialing it in. We have another 2 minutes 25 seconds to resumption. We haven't really seen a lot of dips on the halts, but we are going to end up getting a dip there through the from the open of the resumption. So 1460 down to 1320, 1330, and then a recovery to the new high. Minute 40 to resumption. Minute 40. Tim has to send it with the 5K size for the team. For the culture. For the culture. We got 58 seconds. It's showing sideways resumption here. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to record my screen completely. Not good. There's 20 seconds. Showing sideways resumption. It's a little choppy, and the spreads are pretty big. I'm going to ease off. We didn't get that dip through 1550, and the breakout didn't quite go. It could go to 20, it's possible. But the risk will be real. This is where it gets a little too chaotic. I thought we could have seen a cleaner resumption than that, but on the sidelines. Meg got that from 1152 all the way to 1611. Man, what a trade. What a trade. I think that might do it for me. So we mentioned calling it here. I think we're going to call it for real this time. The chat room, of course, will be going here till maybe 4:30 when most people are then out of here for the weekend. But for the rest of the team on YouTube, I think this is where we're going to shut it down. If you guys want to join the chat room, you can, where the conversation will continue. I'll post the link for the chat room here. And then I am out like South. Out like South. Okay, here's the link. Yeah, we'll see how pre-market does. I think we'll probably put even a bigger hotkey than the one we have. We got a hotkey for just 2K size, as big as size for pre-market. We can make another one, maybe like 4K 3500. We did give back a little though, right? We didn't quite get to capture this sweet, 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 beautiful move. But taking the green off the table. So short sellers did get squeezed, whoever was in a little early and didn't, decide to cover. But as we know, the stock will have a backside, and that's where the short sellers who might even took losses now will be hammering this thing into oblivion, and then they'll be big green. What does that mean, man? Ay ay ay. What? What? That's how I gotta. You know that meme that goes like this, and you blink a couple times. What are these people saying? But anyhow, check out the chat room here. That's what I'm saying. And then I'll catch you guys later. All right. Stay safe, stay green. Hit the thumbs up on the way out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Monday again. Monday again.